Hey, ever heard of the Detroit Pistons? Yeah, those guys from the 80s and 90s who played basketball like nobody else and actually beat Michael Jordan before his reign started. They called themselves the Bad Boys. And let me tell you, they were no ordinary team. Nope, they were the villains of the NBA. You see, these bad boys weren't afraid to get their hands dirty or being violent on the court. They played tough, they played mean, and they didn't care what anyone thought about it. But how did they become so famous for being bad? And why did they actually like it? Well, get ready to find out, because we're about to dive deep into the story of the Bad Boys Pistons. From their sneaky plays to their wild physicality and antics, you're gonna learn all about what made them the baddest team around. So grab your popcorn and get comfy, because this is gonna be one wild and possibly painful ride.
It's leading by 17 at the half. Oh, it goes! A triple!
Rebound.
Now, let me tell you about the man who was the heartbeat of the Bad Boys Pistons, Isaiah Thomas. Picture this, he came straight out of those tough Chicago streets, where you had to be tough just to survive. Isaiah wasn't your regular point guard. Oh, no. He wasn't just there to show off with fancy moves or score a bunch of points. Nope. He was all about one thing, winning no matter what. And let me tell you, that attitude, it spread through the whole team like wildfire. Isaiah didn't care who you were or where you came from. If you stepped on his court, you were in for a rough time. He played like a bulldog, always in your face, never giving an inch. And you know what? That's exactly how the Bad Boys Pistons played too. They were like a pack of hungry wolves, ready to take down anyone who dared to stand in their way, and boy, did they make enemies along the way. But you know what they say, sometimes you gotta be the bad guy to come out on top. And that's exactly what Isaiah and the Bad Boys did. They embraced the villain role, and they thrived in it. Now, let me tell you about the mastermind behind the Bad Boys Pistons, Coach Chuck Daly. He was like the architect of a fortress, always plotting and planning how to make the Pistons the toughest team in the NBA. But it wasn't just Isaiah leading the charge. Oh no, Coach Daly had a whole army of warriors ready to do battle on the court. Take a look at Bill Laimbeer and Rick Mahorn, for example. These guys weren't afraid to get their hands dirty. They were like the big brothers you didn't want to mess with, always ready to protect their turf. Coach Daly had a simple rule: defense, defense, defense. He taught his players to play tough, from one end of the court to the other. They were like a swarm of angry bees, buzzing around and stinging anyone who dared to come close. And let me tell you, other teams hated playing against them. They knew that when they faced the Pistons, they were in for a battle unlike any other. Now let me tell you about the brand of the Bad Boys. It wasn't just about basketball, it was about creating a whole image, a vibe that said, we're tough and we're not afraid to show it. And you know what? The fans ate it up like candy on Halloween. Everywhere you looked, there were people rocking the Bad Boys logo, like it was a badge of honor. It was like they were saying, yeah, we know our team plays rough, and we love it. Whether you were in Detroit or across the country, if you saw someone wearing that Skull and Crossbones logo, you knew they were backing the baddest team in the NBA. Now let's talk about what the Bad Boys left behind when they hung up their sneakers. It's not just about winning games. It's about how they played the game, how they made other teams shake in their sneakers. Coach Chuck Daly was like the architect behind their whole operation. He was the brains behind their tough, in-your-face style of basketball. And boy, did it work! Everywhere they went, teams knew they were in for a battle when they faced the Bad Boys. But it wasn't just about what happened on the court. The Bad Boys changed the way people looked at basketball. They showed that you didn't have to be the nice guys to win. Sometimes being tough and gritty was the way to go. And you know what? They proved it, winning back-to-back championships and leaving a legacy that still gives other teams nightmares. Now, let's talk about the heart and soul of the Bad Boys: Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and Dennis Rodman. These guys were like superheroes in basketball shorts, but they weren't your typical heroes. Nope, they were more like the villains you love to hate. First up, we got Isaiah Thomas, the guy who made the Pistons offense tick. He was like a maestro, directing the team's every move on the court. But don't let that smile fool you. When it came to winning, Isaiah was as ruthless as they come. Then there's Joe Dumars, the defensive ace. This dude was like a brick wall, stopping anyone who dared to come near the basket. And when the game was on the line, you better believe Dumars was the one you did not want defending you. Last but not least, we got Dennis Rodman, the rebounding machine. This guy was like a magnet for the basketball, grabbing boards left and right like it was nobody's business. And let's not forget his colorful personality. Rodman was as flashy off the court as he was dominant on it. These three guys were the heart and soul of the Bad Boys Pistons, and together, they struck fear into the hearts of their opponents like no other team before them. Now, let's rewind the clock back to the Bad Boys era, a time when the Pistons ruled the NBA with an iron fist. These guys were like the bullies on the playground, except instead of taking lunch money, they were taking championships. Their secret weapon? Defense, defense, and more defense. These dudes were like a brick wall, shutting down opponents left and right. They made it so tough for other teams to score. It was like trying to run through a brick wall. Their fiercest battles were with the Chicago Bulls, led by none other than Michael Jordan himself. Now, Jordan was like the superhero of the NBA, and the Pistons? Well, they were like the supervillains, doing whatever it took to stop him in his tracks. Every time these two teams clashed, it was like a showdown at high noon. The Pistons brought their trademark physicality, while the Bulls relied on finesse and skill. It was like watching a chess match between giants, with every move calculated and every play contested. In the end, though, it was the Pistons who came out on top, hoisting the championship trophy not once, but twice in a row. And while their reign may have come to an end, their legacy as the baddest dudes in basketball will live on forever. So, what's the bottom line? Well, let me break it down for you. The bad boy Detroit Pistons were like the tough guys of the NBA, the ones you didn't want to mess with. They played rough, they played dirty, but man, did they know how to win. Their style of play changed the game forever. They showed everyone that defense wins championships, and they proved it by winning not one, but 2 NBA titles in a row. It was like they were saying, like, SID, you want to beat us? Good luck. And yeah, they had their rivals, especially those Bulls from Chicago. But even though they might have been the villains to some, to their fans, they were heroes. They were the ones who showed that with hard work, determination, and a little bit of attitude, anything is possible. So the next time you see that Bad Boys logo, just remember what it stands for: toughness, resilience, and the never say die spirit of the Motor City. Because no matter what, the Bad Boy Pistons will always be legends in the game of basketball.